I am Dr. Monica Matoka. I primarily teach in the Masters of Athletic Training program. I also teach 2 FREX classes, so I understand why you're here, and hopefully if you, I'm here to answer any questions that you can, regardless if it's athletic training or not. But whenever you think of athletic trainers, unmute yourself. What do you think of, or what do athletic trainers do?
Help out the athletes on the field.
Okay, help athletes on the fields.
Help athletes that are hurt.
Help them out if they're hurt, help them get back. Okay, so those are really common. Oh, hold on. Those are really common ways to describe athletic trainers. In our traditional setting, and what people usually see is at our like middle school, high school, college, or professional sports. Hold on, we got a bunch of people trying to add. So that is our traditional setting where you work with sports. Athletic training is expanding though. For instance, we have even one of our clinical rotations is at the San Antonio Fire Department. And so it's a little more structured. It's more of a 9 to 5 type of job. You're not working super late. So in those instances, you're trying to get people back to work, or it may be in a PT clinic or a physician's office, and then you're just trying to get people back to their everyday life. Whether that is an older patient who wants to be able to pick up their grandkids or whatever the case may be. And so depending on your population and what you want to do, athletic training has expanded, and you'll see athletic trainers in a lot of other places other than just the schools and the sports world. Okay. For those of you that just joined us, please put your name in the chat so we have record that you are here. So here at TLU, athletic training is a master's degree. So you have, how many of you are athletes? Raise your hand. Okay, so almost every single one of you. So athletes, you have 2 options. So the Masters of Athletic Training, we work to provide a 5-year concurrent degree, which means at the end of 5 years, you graduate with a master's and a bachelor's with a master's in athletic training and then a bachelor's of kinesiology. If you are an athlete, that would mean, so you apply in the spring of your junior year. That would mean you have a choice to make in your junior year. Do you want to play your senior year or not? We've had athletes go both ways because we've had athletes that go through our program. Some have opted not to finish out their senior year, and they go through with the 5-year program. Others have opted to go ahead and play their senior year, and then typically what they do is they graduate. Well, depending on your courses, you usually graduate after the 4 years, just like a traditional bachelor's degree, and then you apply to get into the master's program, and you treat it like a traditional 2-year program. So it's 6 years instead of 5 years, but it's completely up to you. We do take applications from people outside of TLU. So if someone has a bachelor's degree from Texas State, as long as they've taken the classes that they need as prereqs for our program, then they can apply. And so we do take people outside of TLU into our program. Are there any questions for me right now just on that part? Because usually athletes have questions on the 5 versus the 6. No? Okay. So I'm going to share my screen with you. Oops. Hold on. And what I'm going to show you, and I will send this to you so you have this for reference. This is just a recommendation of what classes to take and when to take them. So if you haven't taken these classes, that's perfectly fine. You can flip-flop them. You can take them in any order. You could do summer school if you wanted. It's completely up to you. But notice the ones that are highlighted in yellow are the prerequisites to get into the athletic training program. And you are taking a pretty high number as far as courses go to complete, because essentially what you're doing is completing the majority of your bachelor's degree in 3 years. instead of 4. So there are a few things. If you finish right here, let's say you apply to the master's program in the spring of your junior year, and let's just say you don't get in. You have not lost any time. There's only a few classes that you would have left to take, and then you could graduate. Usually if that happens, you can actually graduate in December of your senior year. So you actually graduate a little bit early because you've taken so many classes already. So that's completely up to you on how that works, or some students have opted to completely change degrees, which is fine, but that's going to add time. If you apply and you don't get in, you're not losing any time or losing any classes or anything like that. It counts for both. So you would still be able to get a degree in kinesiology for your bachelor's. So I just want to make sure you understand that if you don't get in, it's not like you're adding extra years or anything like that. So if you get into the program, once you start here in this summer, this class is online. We try to let everybody know by spring break of the spring when you apply, if you are in or not. So you can start making housing arrangements, figuring out what you're going to do. And then summer B is all in person. And then when you start here, you're taking a lot fewer hours. But all of your classes are set to 2 days a week. So usually in the first year, you have class on Mondays and Wednesdays. And that way you're done by 2:15. So by the afternoon, you can go to your clinical assignment, which in the fall, everybody is at TLU. And then on Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, sometimes Sunday, you will get at least 1 day off a week. You go to your clinical assignment. Okay, we do have hours requirements and a max, so you have time to function in your everyday life as well. But if you you only have classes 2 days a week. In the spring, your clinical assignment will either be at TLU or a high school. And then in the summer, it's one or the other. So and these are all in person. This summer, it's either summer A or summer B. And so it's 4 weeks of a clinical rotation, like at a hospital, a gen med rotation with a physical therapist. So you're getting experience in the other settings as well. It's either or. And we try to take your thoughts and your desires into account. So let's say you have a family trip, you're on a family trip every July. Then we'll try to make sure that you get into the summer A session. That way you're not having to miss your vacation or something like that. I can't make any promises, but we try to accommodate the best that we can. So then in your second year, you're only taking 9 hours each semester. And in the fall, you are, again, either at a high school, you'll flip-flop with whatever you didn't have in the spring. You'll either be at TLU or you'll flip-flop and you'll be at an area high school. Within that time frame, the first 6 weeks are full immersion, meaning these 3 classes are moved online. We scale it back, and you are going to your clinical site full-time, just like you work there, because we want you to get an idea of what it is really like. And then after those 6 weeks, so for example, the second years that we have right now, they just came back for their first in-person class October 6th. So they all came back October 6th, and now they're having in-class on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they're full-time clinical, but they are doing these classes between 8 a.m. and 2:15. And so then they're done by 2:15. Probably my favorite part of our program is this last semester, where all of these classes, there's not really a ton of content. It is looking at how you're making decisions. How can you make better decisions? Why did we come up with this assessment? Why did we come up with this clinical diagnosis? What's our plan of care for these patients? Finishing up a project, and then your clinical rotation. So the clinical rotation in your last semester, first of all of these are online, and your clinical rotation is wherever you want it to be, which is my favorite part. So we have some students who go back to home and either at a clinic or at a high school, sometimes their high school that they went to, sometimes another one that is close enough that they can go to. We've had students go to MLS and do a Major League Soccer team for their full immersion. We have someone right now looking at going to the University of Missouri, and they have the option right now to work with any sport they want there. So it could be anywhere in the United States. You don't have to stay in Seguin. You don't have to stay home. If you want to get out and expand, most students will either choose their clinical site for this spring based on location and or the setting. So we have connections, but if you have a connection or you are like, hey, I really want to do this, and you establish some sort of relationship, or we can work together to find a place that would interest you, then you can do it. Okay, so as long as it's in the United States, then there's no problem with you going wherever it is. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing. I've thrown a lot of information at you very quickly. Are there any questions for me right now? You can unmute yourself and ask.
So if we're an athlete, we play all 4 years, we would have to do the 6-year program, like graduate and then come back type of thing, or is there any other option?
No, so if you want to play all 4 years, you can play all 4 years. And then depending on your hours, we've had students do it both ways where they graduated after the 4 years. We've had other students who didn't technically finish their undergrad hours. And so they still did the concurrent, but it still took 6 years. Or you cannot play your senior year and do the 5-year. That choice is up to you. So it's either 5 years or 6 years. And we only start in that one summer. We don't intake students year round, like some of the other programs do. Any other questions for me? If you hopped on late, I don't know did everybody put their name in the chat? Make sure you put the name in the chat, your name in the chat. I'm going to put my name and number in the chat, or my email. If you have questions, you can always email me. You can also, I can't type and do this at the same time. You can also text me at my work number. It comes to my cell phone. So whatever works best for you. You can call it, but I know most people prefer to text. Any questions for me at all? They do, TLU does have it set up that if you do the 5-year program, as long as you're classified as an undergraduate, then financial aid still can work with you on take on your scholarships you get from TLU and some other stuff. So they can help you with that financially as well. I don't want to say something wrong, but I know that you get to keep at least for your 4th year, you get to keep whatever scholarship you're getting from TLU. Any other questions? Nothing? All right, well, I'm not going to just hold you on here just because. So if you want to go ahead and log off, I think we were told the next session would start. Let me look. I think at 11. Don't quote me. Hold on. My phone is being slow. This one is supposed to go until 11, and then the next one will start